Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to talk about kick drums. Last time we talked about bass lines, so this is almost like a natural follow-up. They kind of, belong together. This is most likely a two-part series. In the first part, we are talking about samples and manipulating samples and layering them and a few tricks. And in the second part, we will then create our own oscillator, which we then also will add to the grid we will start to construct here. And the goal is to have an ultimate bassline design tool, which has no equal in the plugin industry. Well, it is a bit ambitious, but yeah, let's try. So I already have a little grid here with the kick notes, and I have a grid instance. Oh, let me remove that so we can start with a blank slate. And let me start by dragging it a kick. This is a kick I designed a while ago, so won't have any copyright issues. And yeah, let's listen to it by just connecting the sampler and by disabling this key tracking. Well, a few things that I notice here. I really like the attack phase and the click it has, but at the time I tuned it to A, which I thought at the time was a good idea. But now I think kick at A is in general, almost all the time, just a little bit too high. So I usually tune them, or if I tune them at all, to like G or F or E, something like that, or I let them just continuously drop into the frequency region I like. What can we do about that? And there's also a little click at the end, which we have to get rid of. So as it is now, it will just play the entire sample every time a note comes in. We of course need some more control, and with the segments, drop it into the signal path. And first we're going to start with a very basic envelope that pretty much does nothing until we start changing the time signature, right? Pretty much every kick in psytrance is almost always an 8-note long. And we want to, let me increase the size a little bit, and we want to change the mode to one shot. So whenever a gate signal arrives here, it will run through the entire envelope and then stop. Okay, we have a problem here, which we encountered already in the previous tutorial when we talked about basslines. This has a smoothing built in, which will draw a little curve at the beginning and the end of the envelope. So we don't need this. So now we're back to what we previously had, pretty much. Now, okay, let's take care of that click at the end. Just zoom in a little bit. Well, it's still here a little bit. Okay, now it's gone. And let's open the oscilloscope so that we can see what's going on with the waveform. So we can see that it fades out really nicely here at the end. So let that be. Now, but with these envelopes, we can do a lot more, because maybe I don't, it has already kind of this curved shape here, but maybe I want it to be a bit more or a bit less. So now with these envelopes, I can just do that. I can drag in a curve and actually emphasize the region, this region even more or less. And you can see that it updates. Well, that is all nice, but something I realized when using Kick 2 or other similar, wait a second, or other similar Kick design plugins, when we run through these envelopes, we have a lot more going on at the beginning than at the end. So what we do here has a lot more influence. So, and what they do in Kick 2 or Metrum, or I think these are the two I know, what they do, they run through this envelope quicker at the beginning and then slow down towards the end. And this has a huge advantage, so that especially later on when you steer an oscillator pitch with an envelope. So how can we replicate this? So first, the segments does not have any phase control, so we're going to change it or switch it to, I think it's curve, still have to get used to this. Yeah, switch it to curves. Curves is an LFO. And why are we switching it out? It is because here we have phase control, which allows us to move through this envelope at the speed we want. So we can basically control the position from here. But for this to work, we have to put it on hold first. And then also, I mean, we cannot use this and connect it to the output because it's just an LFO. So we're going to pick up another attenuation device. I don't want to use this one. This is just my default. I always have an attenuator in my grid devices, and we turn down the volume here and then use the modulation to modulate this to the full extent. So now nothing is happening because the LFO is on hold. But now we can go here again, grab a segments, open it up, draw in a very simple sawtooth, and now use this one, the modulation output, to control the position in the curves LFO. And let's see what that does. Not happy yet, because we have to switch that to 8 notes. Okay, and also we want this to be a one-shot. Well, as I said, we want to run through the beginning faster. So let me add a dot here and maybe increase this a little bit. But I can probably also use like a curve here. Are you kidding me? My mouse is not working anymore. Okay, I had some problems with my mouse, but now I'm back. So, where was I? I think drawing in here a curve. Something like this. And when you look at the shape of the kick, you will see how it begins to look different. Right? This is pretty much before. And it kind of shifts this little drop here more to the beginning, which gives us more freedom to draw more precise shapes. And here it gets a bit imprecise, so we can move this a bit further out. Of course, you can do it the way you want. You can then again, kind of draw it like this and then decrease precision towards the end. Might make sense. I'll leave this up to you. So let's... Okay, now it's good. No click. Yeah, I mean, the kick was pretty much okay. So just a little adjustments here, but of course you can take influence on the click. You just, yeah, reduce the amplitude and do what you want. So, but of course we're not done, not by far, because we also want to be able to control the pitch. And for that, no, we do not need a curve. We need a segments. So make sure it's in one shot and then zero everything out. Then make it bipolar. Remove that one. So, and what we're doing now is we will apply this one to the pitch. I would say roughly, like 6 semitones should be enough. If you have to pitch more, then you should probably look for a different kick instead of trying to force it. And the cool thing now is that kind of if I stretch this out, so just that you can imagine better what's going on. Now this is pretty much the duration of the kick, and I can now control where I want to pitch, because in this case I think the start of the kick is more or less fine, but the tail is way too high up, so I want to drop it a few semitones. So let me do that. Yeah, somehow it sounds better when I just have a curve like this. Doesn't need to be precise, it's a tutorial. You're supposed to learn something first and foremost. But now look, listen to the difference. No. Maybe that was a bit too much. And of course you can also say, well, if the kick, for example, is not clicky enough, you can pitch it up a little bit. Or down. And, it gives you a lot of control over your samples. And let's be honest, even if we design our kicks our own with an oscillator, usually we will end up with a kick that sounds like something we have in our sample libraries, be it Futurephonics, Sennheiser. And if it doesn't sound somewhat similar, then it's probably not a good kick. So, and this gives us the possibility to take existing kicks that we know are good and just process them further quite surgically to tune them exactly to what we want them to be. But of course we're not done. We can duplicate this. And now, well, let's replace the sample here. I have a second one. This one, for example. Just drop it in here. The kick has pretty much the same length. It's just the sample, which is longer in this case. That's why it looks different. So let me move that a little bit out of the way. So now we can, well, this is the amplitude envelope that we have on kick 1, but we don't want this envelope to influence kick 2, so we can just connect it directly to the output. And I would hold Shift so that I can blend between the two candidates. Ooh, but now, okay, this sounds a bit lower than I had it in my memory, and that's because it applied the pitch automatically to the duplicated sampler, but of course I do not want that. Okay, kick 2. That's the right one. Now, we can, of course, copy this segment here and apply the same to the second sampler. By the way, if I had just selected both and copied them, then it would have automatically reassigned the automation. So, well, we can, of course, now blend between the two. But yeah, depending on the kicks, on the phase, that might not work at all. So let's look at this. Yeah, that definitely doesn't work. It's not as bad as it could be, but yeah, it's definitely not ideal. So what can we do if we want, per example, to use the attack from this one, but I like the body from this one a lot more? So, well, first I want to copy these two, because I want this kick to have its own envelope. I don't think this kick actually needs another envelope, but it cannot hurt to have the possibility to come on. No, this one is. So here we go, and apply full modulation here. Okay, for now I don't want to do anything here. And fade out. No, we'll see. So yeah, we have to do something here. Okay. We could, of course, also, after these envelopes, insert a master envelope, which is something I did in my version, but I tend to add stuff when I need them, and at the moment I don't need it. So, but yeah, just as an idea, just take a segment, put it in between, and use that as your kind of master envelope. Gives you more freedom in terms of what you want to draw in for the individual kicks. Now, so what did I say? I wanted to maybe blend them, right? Use the attack from the first kick and the body from the second one, but somehow they do not fit perfectly together. So, but segments to the rescue. First take it, copy it, move it up here, and reset the values here. It probably needs something like this. And what we want to do is we want to control the blend. So the blend is at 50-50 at its neutral position, and this one is bipolar. So I want to start with the first one, the first kick. So I want to drag this down. And then I want to continue with the second kick. And let's apply modulation, 50%. Now, this does not sound perfect. Just right away out of the box. We have to do some tweaking. Let me open. Oh, we have to switch to bipolar. Of course, otherwise it will only start here and fade to kick number 2. Okay, now it sounds and looks already a lot better. But, it's not guaranteed. Sometimes it works. Sometimes they do not fit together at all. And for that, let me look at it. Take a different oscilloscope. It's called a Signalizer, and it's actually freeware. You can download it from GitHub and install it. And in my opinion, it is probably the best oscilloscope out there, paid or free. It's just amazingly fast. You can change all the settings, set up everything to your liking. I mean, not that I understand what's going on here, though, but there are presets here. So Beats is nice. So it really kind of also gives me a grid, so I know exactly where we are. And let's look at this kick, and then we can zoom in and find where the fade happens between kick 1 and kick 2. At the moment, well, we have a soft transition here. Let's make this extremely sharp. So we should probably see it. Yeah, I see it. Let me move that plugin window back. Here, it's exactly here. So it's pretty precise, but that's only coincident. But let me correct for it. Turn off grid here because I don't want anything to snap, and then zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. We're using the attack from this one, so I don't want to change the sample position here, but I can change the sample position from that one. And now I can move it. Yeah, until now it matches perfectly. And already before it was de facto almost not audible, but now it's definitely gone. And now that this is done, I can go here and add back a little fade. And now we have our new kick with, the attack from this one and the body from this one. Of course, you can do it the other way around, but now we killed the attack here, so that won't work. And yeah. But we are not done yet. So take one of these samplers, copy it again. Don't forget to move the pitch modulation. And now let's search for a... let's closed. Yeah, this one sounds interesting. Usually hi-hats can be used for stuff like this, because now we want to create a kind of a little click on top of the kick. I mean, this one has enough, but maybe you have a kick that you still want to emphasize a little bit. So just grab the chord here and connect this to this attenuator by holding Option, because Option gives you a mixer. Okay, let's solo that real quick. Nice. Okay, 2 things. First, I want to filter a high pass to remove eventual low frequencies. They really don't need to be there in clicks. Change this to maybe a 4 or even 5 pass. Now, secondly, I want an envelope to really make it really short and tight. An attack decay should be enough. Switch it to digital. Attack 0 and drop it in here, and now play with the release time. Something like this is already enough, but in order to find out, you have to layer it with the kick drum, and then play with the pitch. So let's listen to it. Well, again, this kick already has a click on top of it. That's how I designed it. Yeah, you can always kind of use something like that, some noise which is sampled, or hi-hats to add some nice little shiny clicks on top of everything. Well, if we want, of course, we can have 2 or 3 clicks. I think that's probably not necessary most of the time. Now let's zoom out a little bit and look what we have created. Now, we have 2 samplers, which both can be dynamically pitched, I would say, depending on the position of the sample, which I think is probably the most powerful feature, because it lets you tune your kicks without disturbing them in the tonal part, which is at the beginning. Then we can apply amplitude curves to shape them further and, well, take out a few frequency. Well, when you think about it, a kick is a sine wave and it continuously pitches down. So what we do here is more or less just EQing certain frequencies out, because here it is at a certain frequency and exactly here I do lower the volume. So it is somewhat an EQ. We have that for both. We can change the curve, how fast we run through the amplitude envelope. It's just something we added to have better control. Then we can use the first or the second kick, or we can fade between the first and the second. Well, if the position does not fit, you might move it a bit more in this direction here, because at the beginning it's much easier to find a phase position that actually works. And the click should already be done around like here. So keep that in mind. Then we added a third sampler that allows us to add a click. We could go on and duplicate this, but we don't have to. I think usually I almost never use more than 1 click on top of my kicks. Now, that's it for this tutorial. In the second part, we will add an oscillator and also try to apply some nice little features to really tune our kicks exactly to the position where we want to have them. So, but before I leave you, let's actually listen to it in a context of a bass line, because at the end of the day, you can design your kicks as much as you like. It will play in combination with a bass line, so either the kick or the bass line or both kind of have to be adjusted so that they build a harmonic whole. So I have no idea how this will sound, but let's listen. Not too bad, I would say. And I have an oscilloscope here, which has a second input, right? And we can go here to the bass and say, well, grab it post fader. And when we open, it will now overlay the 2 signals. Okay, if, for example, now we kind of want to align them a bit better, then we can now also open our kick drum, and we're using the tail of this kick. So let's add some button here. Seems to be a little bit buggy. Well, it's not doing much because the second half is empty space here. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to this. Much more important is that you keep in mind that these two phases will interact and what kind of consequences this will have. Yeah, but I think it doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, that sums it up for today. I hope you liked it. And yeah, if so, like, subscribe, leave your comments. Thanks for watching. I'm out.